Hey, Natalie, thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Let's start with where it all began for you in the music industry.
Okay. Um, well, I guess that's tough because I've been, you know, music's been in my life since I was little. So I guess the industry aspect itself, when I wanted to pursue a career, was I was about 14 or 15, and I was already obsessed with music. I already played multiple instruments and was like very focused on music, but I never considered pursuing it professionally because I just thought that's something that you couldn't do. Um, and my mom would always say, you should be a musician. I was like, no, you're wrong. Mothers are never correct about anything. I'm just kidding. At the time, I thought so. And then I saw Paramore in concert and became obsessed with Haley Williams very quickly. And just at that concert itself, I texted my mom like, okay, you're right, I'm doing music. Yeah, and then she just was an idol for me in that moment. And then I, started having new inspirations, and I just kind of became obsessed with it then. So that's how I got into it.
And how did you find your quote unquote sound? Like, what made you want to go with the like crazy vocals that you have? Is it just like the naturalness of you?
I think that it is the naturalness of me because I try to do different sounds often. I don't like being, stuck within a box and unable to experiment with different things. So I think I just always gravitate towards what feels the most fun in any given moment. And so sometimes I like soft singing and soft spoken lyrics and things like that. But then other times, I want to have a set list for a show filled with loud, boisterous songs. So yeah, I think it's just what comes naturally to me. And what I guess what I enjoy the most is the best way to word it.
Yeah. Well, I did read somewhere that you like to do tricks and stuff on stage, cartwheels
Yeah.
and all that. Where's the energy come from?
Okay, it's funny you ask that because after shows, people have said to me, "Are you on cocaine?" Like, actually, have said that to me. And so I wrote a song about that. That's going to be my next release called Cracked Pepper. And it's about that people think I'm on cocaine. I'm not on cocaine. I think the energy, I think that I've just always had that. Like, I've always been, you know, a person that wants to do a lot of things and, can, hang out with people all day and all night. And I think it's also when you're enjoying what you're doing, it's hard to lose stamina because I can't jog. Like I can't go out and run because I hate it so much that I immediately get out of breath and I think it's psychological. But then yet I can do a show for an hour and like run around and do all that and sing. So I think it just comes down to just it being so fun that it's just an adrenaline rush because after a show I'm in physical pain, so yeah.
uh, with the whole COVID situation over in the States, how did that affect you show wise, mentally? How did that affect you?
I mean, if it affected me, I mean, I did lose a family member and that was rough. And
Oh.
I think that even before that happened, I was already kind of in this like wake up call mode of like, oh, like things can just be like ripped away from you at any moment. And I think, I think every generation has something that happens that kind of like emphasizes that. And I just, being my age, hadn't really experienced that yet in my life, which is honestly, I would say a privilege to just like personally in my life hadn't experienced anything of like, wow, something can like something you care about so tremendously can just be stripped from you. And that's just reality. And you have to live every moment kind of like, appreciating the good things and also kind of being prepared. And so it affected me in a way of going like, okay, I have to always have music lined up and ready to go. That's something my mom had also been saying to me and something I didn't listen to. So I definitely listen to her now and make sure I have music lined up. At least I'm trying to. It's very hard for me to pump out music quickly because I'm so particular. So that was something. The losing the family member part was when it was like, this is real. This isn't like a joke. I always took it seriously, of course. Like I'm not an anti-vax, no mask. But like, I think you just also sometimes things just don't hit you. You're like, there's a pandemic and I'm going to be safe and I'm going to be responsible. And next week it'll be over, and then that's not over.
Yeah.
So that's how it affected me personally. And I think, I get weird talking about the pandemic because I just think of how many people had it way worse. And so whenever people are like, how did it affect you? And I'm just like, I had it easy. I feel like, I don't know. I got unemployment.
You see, because most musicians wouldn't get unemployment. So I guess you're kind of one of the good ones, I guess.
Very lucky. Yeah, I was able to do the whole self-employment, unemployment kind of thing. Very lucky for that because, no shows. Just nothing happening. It was very scary. But yeah, that's how it affected me. So
yeah. Mm-hmm. If you don't mind me asking, what was the move like from San Diego to Nashville, if that's where you're currently at?
I don't. It was from New York to Nashville.
Okay, I read San Diego, but I'm not sure.
No, I don't know why that's funny to me. I'm sorry, I'm not laughing at you. I just think
that's fine.
Yeah, it was from New York to Nashville. Either way, doesn't matter. No, it was because I moved in the middle of the pandemic. So that was like interesting because people kept saying to me like, "You're gonna do that now," and I was like, "Yeah, I am." It was my first time living on my own. I have a roommate now, but for a year I lived in a studio apartment. And it was cool just because I could always sit at my computer, make music. And, for the entirety I lived in my apartment, I worked on my release before the last release, Snow. It was cool. I really liked it. And I could still work on music with my roommate too, because she's a musician as well. And it's, I'm a music city. The transition between the two, because New York doesn't have a music scene, in my opinion. I bet other people probably have other opinions, but to me, it's mostly just theater and fashion and stuff like that. And so I wanted a music scene where there's always something to do, music related. So even during the pandemic, there was still stuff to do. You're surrounded by musicians. You have a lot of people motivating you. And it's the reason why it's funny you say San Diego is because I do want to go to California after this. So I was like, he knows, he senses it.
It's so weird. I read somewhere that you're a San Diego native.
I was born in Long Beach.
Okay, maybe that's what I read.
Yeah. I was born. I lived there till I was like 6, so it's not. I kind of remember it. I kind of don't.
It would explain a lot on why your shows are more on the East Coast than they are on the West.
Yeah, it does explain. I do want to start building, more of a presence over there. So I'm like trying to push myself that direction. So.
What was playing? I feel like you played at the Hard Rock Cafe in Tampa often. Were you a resident there, or was it just like one of them things where they just brought you on all the time?
No, so I was born in Long Beach, and then when I was 6, my family moved to Tampa, and then when I was 17, New York, and then I moved down to Nashville alone. So all over the place. Yeah, I lived in Tampa for a few years, and that's when I started doing music. So when I was just kind of like a baby playing with just my guitar, I started doing shows at the Hard Rock Cafe that was there. And the staff was so nice to me. And they always just had me like do all these little events. And like, they always gave me free Hard Rock merch. And I don't know. I feel like I should reach out to them at some point and be like, hey, that was a good time in my life. They really helped me like kickstart my music just because, when you're just starting off, it's kind of like, what do I do? Like, so how do I do shows what's like, there's no rule book or, how to perform for dummies book. So just being able to have any stage to like get used to performing. And it's, it was cool. It was nice. I liked that they gave me that opportunity.
What was your first ever gig like? Stepping up on stage in front of all those people.
I think I would say my first, because I started off doing open mics. And then I think my first real like show was at the Hard Rock in front of like a lot of people. And every time I'm nervous at a show, people tell me I don't seem nervous. They're like, oh, you seemed fine. But I was like shaking. I was mortified. And my mouth gets all dry and my knees feel like they're clacking together, which doesn't look that way at all. It's all in my head. But yeah, it was horrifying.
That would explain the cartwheels.
Well, see, the thing is, though, what's so funny is that I because when people ask me like, oh, well, how do you not have stage fright? And it's like, oh, I do. It's just that when you have fear, you can do the like fight or flight thing in your head. And so when you go into fight mode, it makes you crazy. And that's why I have the, I guess, desire to do those things, is because, you know, I'm more nervous doing an open mic or an acoustic show where I'm just standing with my guitar, because there's no way to expel that fear you have. So like it does explain the cartwheels, because that's kind of, you know, why I have the urge to do those things. It kind of is like a release, I guess. It makes it much easier.
Yeah, it's like, don't focus on me, focus on me doing all this.
No, I'm not afraid of people seeing me. Like it's weird. It's not stage fright. It's fear of, I mean, that's not true, because it's an uncomfortable situation regardless. But I guess I'm so afraid of not doing well. And when you're doing cartwheels, and I haven't done cartwheel in a really long time, actually. I'm not gonna lie, because just, you know, the pandemic, and I haven't done shows. In my last show, there was no room for that. So, but yeah, when I'm doing that, or, you know, I like to do crowd interactive things. When there's constant engagement, you can't think like, oh my God, they think I suck, because you're making them have fun. You could see they have fun. Whereas, you know, you're sitting playing an acoustic show and everyone's just sitting content watching you. You're like, I don't know if you like this, until they start clapping at the end. Sorry, shaking my computer. So I guess that's a part of it as well.
That leads me to my next one, the national anthem. Like, when you say you don't like All Eyes on You, how was that?
Awful. I completely forgot I did that. That's so funny. Yeah, I, honestly, like, rewarding experience in hindsight, but in that moment was not having fun. I was very scared. That was cool though. Wow, you did so much. That's so neat. Like, thanks.
Because the national anthem's a big deal for you guys, isn't it?
Yeah. I feel like that's like I could just be making that up. I feel like every singer wants to do that, you know, like it's a fun thing to do. Maybe not like praise the country, but like just the act of singing for everybody at a football game, or like singing such a difficult song. I almost thought I could hit the note when I got home. And then once I was in front of everyone, I started the song in a higher key than I practiced. And so I was like, I'm not hitting this high note. It's not going to happen. Sorry, it's all coming back to me. I completely forgot about that day.
Just suppress it and get rid of it.
Yeah.
What was your tour like? Your first The Invasion tour? What was that like?
Wow, I don't remember. I remember. I mean, I went with my parents, and it was neat being in a bunch of different cities. But I actually really don't remember how I felt like in that phase of my life, when usually I do remember how I feel. I know that we didn't have because now I have a van that I use when I tour. And we didn't have that yet. It was just my parents. My parents actually got a minivan so that we could do that together. They like switched out their car. And then my dad built this huge box to go on top of the minivan to put all my equipment in. And people would always be like, is that a dead body in there? And we'd be like, there's two. Like we'd always get a lot of shit for that. Oh, wait, I can curse. We'd always get a lot of shit for that. Because it was just it's a very strange thing to have such a large coffin-sized box on top of a minivan. But yeah, that was really cool. It's a fun time of my life. Like, you know, touring for the first time.
Where did you get the skills to play multiple instruments and sing?
I think it comes from wanting to, because, you know, I produce my own songs. And so I play all my instruments. I can play to the extent that I need them for. And that I think is hilarious, meaning that, you know, when I'm playing like my song Snow, I'm playing piano on that song. And, you know, I know songs on the piano from like, you know, my previous, because I had a piano teacher when I was like little. And so I know all the songs I played on piano then. And if I teach things to myself, I can play them, but I don't really do that. I don't sit here and practice piano. So like, if I do want to include an instrument in one of my songs, I have to sit there and really practice it so that I can get it well. So I think it's just wanting to be able to have the full creative freedom in my music. And I was like, well, I need drums. So gotta learn drums now. I gotta be a drummer. It's like I need, I want to play guitar in my shows, so I gotta get good at guitar. So I already played guitar, but it was mostly just like rhythm stuff that I could do. And now, obviously, over the years, getting better. So yeah.
And you shot your own music video? Well, directed?
Yeah, directed. Yeah, because it's funny that you shot your own, because I kind of want to copy Bo Burnham after seeing his special and like make a video where I just film the whole thing and like entirely just admit that that's just me copying him, because I thought that was genius. But so I didn't want to shoot my music video eventually, but yeah, that last one I did direct. I've directed all my videos because I don't really have a creative team. So I got to come up with all of it on my own. But yeah, my friend Jake helped me out with that. He filmed it. He's a videographer, went to school for it. Really talented kid. So it's fun.
And how far do you think you've come from your first single release, Somebody to Love, to When Alcohol Tastes Like Juice?
So I'm going to give you a little secret. My first single release actually isn't on any platform except for like, there's like one specific streaming platform that is not as common of like a platform that I can't figure out how to get it off of. I think it's Deezer. But, it's called Stumble, and I made it when I was like 14. And in my opinion, it's awful. I think it's the worst thing I've ever heard. So I guess from like, if you want to get like for real, like my very first single till now, very long way from sucking to like me at least liking my songs. From Somebody to Love until now, I think just going outside of the box, because I was very, I was still learning or figuring out what I was doing. So I was trying to make songs that were a song at all rather than like creative, if that makes sense. Because I was like, I have to build on this somehow. And so I was very structured and very, music theory at the time. And now I'm very like, I don't care, and just doing whatever. So yeah.
And how's it feel? Because you said you didn't want to pursue music, but how's it feel having fans and, walking in some cities or towns and people know who you are?
The latter has honestly only happened like 2 or 3 times. The 2 or 3 times were all really fun. Those are cool moments for somebody to be like, I actually know who you are. I've seen like that has happened to me. It's very rewarding. It's cool. I don't know. I think I at the time I said I didn't want to do music, and I told myself that, but I think it's just because I thought it was something that you can't really pursue. I'm like, that's not a job. Like, I don't know why I was more conservative than my mother when it came to that. She was like, yes, you absolutely can. I was like, no, that's not a real job, you silly woman. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not the type of person that is like fans, like, oh, the glory. Like, I'm more like the human connection of being able to like interact with people and talk to them and build relationships with people. Because it's very cute when like people who are, or, kids who are like 9 through 13, 14 that like DM me on Instagram and are, will say like, oh, I listened to this song and it made, I listened to it after school and it really makes me feel like this emotion, makes me feel good. It makes me feel motivated, whatever. And it's like, okay, cool. Now we can like talk. And like, I don't know, it's very sweet. I like that aspect of music. I like that it brings people together. I like that I have friends in every major city, because going to concerts and you meet people and then they introduce you to people. It's like music is just like such a universal language. So I think this is like perfect for me. It's I've always loved music, but I also love the connections that come along with it. So yeah.
And at what point would you say you've made it in the music industry?
When I don't have to have a side hustle. Oh no, if I had lipstick on my teeth, that sucks. Well, I think we should keep all that, because it's the truth.
You did? I can't see it from here.
I literally just wiped it off. It was like in the dead center the whole time. And I think we should shamelessly leave it all there. They should know.
You're cool.
Yeah, the world should know that I get lipstick on my teeth. So
you're human, so
yeah. I'm Corky. What can I say? I'm just kidding. Sorry, I interrupted there.
What is your side hustle?
I do graphic design freelance.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very random, but I enjoy it. So
I did have another. Have you ever felt like giving up, just stopping music and going get a full-time job? Or
yeah,
yeah,
like once a year I have like a breakdown. And it's weird because it's like I don't not profit off my music. I get, royalties every month, and when I do a show I get paid and all that stuff. So it's like music is profitable. It's just it's not consistent, meaning like the pandemic happens, and then it's like, okay, and a lot of people had that situation happen. Most musicians lost, or even non-musicians, a lot of people lost their jobs, shit like, sorry, I'm a little frazzled thinking about it. But even if you can't do a show, or you're not touring at the moment, or you haven't released songs, and your interaction online is less because you have a lot going on, your monthly streams are going to go down. So it's a very it's not as consistent as other careers, but it's still something. So I guess I don't want to make it seem like I'm not where I want to be quite yet. I think I'm content with the momentum that I've kept up with. It's just that, where I am in my career, I also have to have 2 jobs. But I do like it. I don't think I'd ever stop doing the graphics design now that I think about it, because it's just extra money to live off of. So, but yeah, I definitely want to be able to pay rent off of just my music.
that seems fair. Well,
yeah.
You work hard for it, so.
Mm-hmm.
If you could tell your youngest,
was that the answer to your question? Is that what you asked me?
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure. Not rambling here, going off the rails. Okay.
If you could tell your younger self anything, what would it be?
Calm down. Just calm down, relax. And I still need to tell myself that now. But even more so when I was younger. I think I got overly excited about certain things. And I also got overly upset about a lot of things as well. I had very strong emotions as a teenager. I was the definition of angst. And I think the perfect example of like calm down, I guess, is that like, the tattoo on my arm, I love this tattoo for a lot of reasons. My friend did the peace sign because she's an apprentice or was an apprentice. Now she's a tattoo artist. And then I was like, I'm gonna add leaves. And then I was like, the leaves aren't good enough. I'm going to add more. And I kept adding more to it because I wasn't content with how like the peace sign was just on its own. I was like, she deserves a frame for what she did on me. And then I kind of went overboard, and I was like, I don't know how I feel about this being so large on me. I never wanted a big tattoo. And it's like a perfect example of how I would do things as a teenager. Like I just couldn't relax. So I think, go with the flow. Type of thing. I guess if any teenagers are listening to me, don't get ahead of yourself ever. You got to just take life for what it is, because teenage me would have handled the pandemic very poorly. I think if I had been at the age I was doing music, so like 16, 17, starting my career, and the pandemic would have happened, I probably would have just stopped altogether. I would have been like, oh, there's no hope, there's no use, like not the opposite of being calm. So
Worst case scenario.
Yeah, I think just I needed to take things for what they were. And I think I'm still learning that now. I still catch myself not doing that and not going with the flow. So I think that's the best advice you can give to anyone ever at any point, is to just roll with it.
If someone wanted to get into the music industry, do you have any advice for them?
Yeah, be persistent. Things take a really long time, because I get DMs kind of like, how did you get so many streams? Like, you're an independent artist. And I'm like, well, I've been doing this for a while. So persistence is important. I think people don't know where to perform, which is very, like I was saying before, I didn't know where to either. So again, yeah, open mics. When you create like your artist brand and you find like what feels very comfortable and authentic for you, start finding other artists in your area that are within the same genre as you, because then you can like team up and do shows. and make shows yourself, book a venue, things like that. So that's the advice I have. Be persistent and figure out what to do at the very beginning.
I have a set of 4 questions to get to know you a little bit better and let your fans know you a little bit better. Okay. We'll start with, what's your favorite food?
I don't know. I think, oh God, I've never been asked this, at least in an interview. I think my favorite food is like Japanese food as a whole. I'm vegetarian now, so I guess I can't really say sushi, but like if I were not vegetarian, sushi. Veggie sushi.
Is there a reason you went vegetarian?
Guilt. Yeah. I just felt bad. And I've caved. I didn't cave for 2 years. And then in the past, like 3 months, I've caved like 4 times. I don't know why. Like I the other day was like, I really want a corn dog. And then I got one. But I'm going to not do that now. So yeah, straight up just guilt. I was just like that. The animals didn't choose that. Like, I know like they are already, it's natural for people to eat animals, but it's because of the mass farming and like all that. Because, any major industry is just kind of corrupt a little bit, at least. I was just like, God, I saw those videos, what they do to the cows and stuff. And I was like, man,
yeah. There's a reason people don't watch the videos, like myself,
yeah, shouldn't have done that. That's literally why I went vegetarian. I was like, oh God. So, and my parents, I had wanted to, but I lived at home and my parents weren't yet. And then my parents decided to go vegetarian. I was like, now's my chance. Cause if they're doing it, I'm doing it. So yeah.
PlayStation or Xbox? I don't know if you game.
PlayStation.
Yeah.
I don't game anymore. I was obsessed with Grand Theft Auto and only Grand Theft Auto. And that's all I played on PlayStation. And I never had an Xbox. So there we go.
Netflix or Disney Plus?
I only have a Netflix subscription, actually. And not because I think it's better. My boyfriend has all the rest of them, so I just watch stuff with him. But I don't know enough of. Netflix has Arrested Development, so I'm gonna say Netflix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's your biggest conspiracy?
I mean, like the biggest, like the most obvious are like Bush did 9/11 kind of thing. But like, I don't know. I used to like be big on like coming up with my own conspiracy theories, which was like really annoying. And I had like funny ones, but I don't remember any of them. So I guess I'll just roll with the common one. I feel like, okay, here, I'll say this. I feel like any conspiracy theory is like, to an extent, correct. Like anytime anyone's ever had some kind of theory or conspiracy theory that they've given to me, I'm like, that sounds completely that sounds correct. Like I believe this. And I know that's like that sounds ignorant to be like, oh, I'm not going to do my research. It's more of like everything's so messed up all the time. I'm just like, sure, it's possible. I wouldn't be surprised. It's more like the correct way of wording it. So that's my conspiracy theory, is that all conspiracy theories are true.
Fair enough. It's just like someone's like, oh yeah, this happened. You're like, yeah, I believe it.
Yeah. It's more like I wouldn't put it. I don't. It seems. It's not like I believe you in its entirety. It's more like, sure. I wouldn't be. I'm not shocked by that if it were true.
Yeah, there's some crazy shit in the world. So yeah, that is probably like the least crazy thing that is happening.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a good way of wording it. Yeah. Like the mattress. Sorry, continue.
Sorry. How do you balance a relationship and the music industry and just everything? Do you find it hard?
No, because I feel like it's just like any other job. You work and then you hang out with somebody. I mean, my boyfriend's a musician as well. He, he's training to be an audio engineer. He's in college right now. So I think musicians usually just gravitate to other musicians because we like the same things and we get each other. So I think that's the only thing that's different, is just I don't know. I gravitate towards all my friends are musicians. Like it's not even on purpose. It just happens. So
Yeah. Other people really don't understand it, you know?
I think, yeah, I feel like, cause you know, I do have friends that aren't musicians, but they just love music. So it's like, I think people who aren't really involved in music at all, just, I don't want to be like, oh my God, they don't understand us. But like, I've tried having conversations with them and they literally don't get anything with music whatsoever. So and I feel like it's, you know, when you're a musician, it's so prominent in your life that you want to talk about it all the time. So when there's not that common ground, even a little bit, it's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. So. It's like, my sample's not sounding right. They're like, yes, sure.
Exactly. Like, because both my parents, you know, music people, love music. They don't make music, they don't play instruments, but know everything that has to do with music. So I can say things to them and they're like, oh, like they understand. I mean, specifically music theory, my dad doesn't understand. I'll try to teach it to him and he's like, stop. I don't know what a note is. What's a note? That doesn't make sense to me. And like, it's technically just a frequency. He's like, but how do they repeat? I'm like, I don't know. That's what they decided. So, but other than that, yeah, I don't know. I went off on it.
Is college on the table for you? I'm unaware of your age, so sorry if I.
No, you're okay. I'm 21. I didn't go to college. I do Berkeley online, which is like, but not for a degree. I do these courses for certification just so I can learn how to do mixing and mastering and all that. But I try to only do things that apply to my end objective. I'm not a plan B person whatsoever. I've never been. So I was like, well, I want to be a musician. And if I can't be a musician, I will throw myself off a cliff. So it's like, why do I want to go to college and have like a degree and then have like loans when I'm not going to be like, my career doesn't require that. So it was a tough decision because, you know, when I was in high school, I was very into, you know, perfect grades. I have to get a scholarship, all this stuff. And then one day I was like, now that I'm doing music, do I need that? So yeah.
Well, it probably helped you had supportive parents because
Yeah.
from the outside in, it feels like Americans are very big on you need to go to college.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my parents are unconventional people as it is. Like they're not into like, oh, this is what you have to do and blah, blah, blah. They're like, no, do what you want to do. And we will support you doing that in a way that seems like it will be like you'll have the best outcome. And, you know, they, for like 2 years, it was just nonstop traveling. My parents just would, you know, if you want to be actual, when I first started touring, we moved out of our house and just traveled with our things. Well, we put all our stuff in storage and then just had our luggage and our stuff and traveled. And because they worked remotely at the time. So that's, you know, that's a good description of my parents and how supportive they were and are.
That's crazy supportive.
Yeah, crazy supportive is a good word. So
I feel like they put all their eggs into your basket also.
Oh, every single egg that they had was it still is invested in me. Like I am the single luckiest child is what I could say when it comes to like their support. And anytime I have ever been a bratty teenager should never have happened. Never, ever. Like because every teenager at some point reaches a point where they fight with their parents or they argue or they try to be like defiant. Never should have happened. That's how grateful I am that I had that level of support. So yeah, I guess with the college part, I feel like that was like the least of the absurd things that they were cool with, I guess, or uncommon things.
Well, packing up your whole house just to tour you around the East Coast was insane.
Yeah, like, well, because they love traveling. They've always, you know, they've had different careers. My mom did so many careers just before I was born. I was just like, when did you have the time? So they were already like that. I think they were just, the way they worded it to me is like, my dad says to me all the time, like, you don't know how lucky I am that you are a musician, because music is my world. The fact that you make music that I like, the fact that you are, my dad says, the fact that you're talented. So like it wasn't even like, they wanted to, they like it. They're nuts. They're fun. So
when you're not being Natalie, well, that is you, but when you're not being your artist, what are you doing?
The graphic designing and hanging out with my boyfriend. Yeah. I'm a simple woman. I don't really, I literally just do, like, my bedroom is my studio and a TV. And then my bed's on, like, I don't have a bed frame. Like, I don't, my computer's being rested on a keyboard. Like, I literally invested. Yeah. So that's pretty much it.
Do you have anything to say to your ever-growing fan base?
Thanks. Because I feel like it's like music could be an exchange where it's just like, I provide you a product and you take it and that's it. Like, but because I don't walk into Starbucks and like talk to the barista and I'm like, you are fantastic. You are, please, can you put your face on a shirt and then give it to me, but with music, that's what people do. And so I guess, like, I don't know. It's, I mean, I've done it. When you like an artist, you idolize them. So I think thank you for, believing in what I do and being so supportive. And thanks for DMing me all the time, because I actually really, really like it. I think it's really sweet that people feel inspired by something to the point where they want to build a connection with the person who created it. So that's it.
Yeah. And you're pretty easy to message, you reply pretty quickly. So it's nice.
Mm-hmm. With you, I honestly wasn't replying as quickly as I usually do. This nuts. I literally, like, I open your message like walking through my door, just, oh God. But yeah, thank you for being
That's okay.
Awesome.
And to people who aren't following you, what do you have to say to them?
Follow me.
Simple.
Follow me or don't. But I think you should.
Yeah. Where can we find you, social media wise?
All of them, except for, I mean, if you still use Facebook, I'm on there. I just wish I wasn't. I wish Facebook would go away. I don't really like it.
Really?
Yeah. I think it's so antiquated. I don't know what to post on there. I'm like, hey, old people. I don't know.
Well, given the fact that I think Americans like Twitter more, from the outside in, again, Twitter is like the wild, wild west for us. It's just insane. Really? Yeah.
That's cool. Wait, so because this is Australia.
Yeah.
Okay. Just making sure I was right about that thing. Yeah, I guess that I didn't know if it was kind of like an echo chamber situation of why I only ever see, American tweets, or if it was just because Twitter's just predominantly USA, but it's interesting to know. That's cool.
Have you ever tried Vegemite, given the fact that I'm from Australia?
Yeah, I haven't tried it. My friend who is British or is from the UK, she isn't British, she's lived here, but her parents are, had it, and she wouldn't let me try it because she said I wouldn't like it. She was insistent. And I trust her.
Look, if anyone ever offers you Vegemite, don't eat it like Nutella.
I know. Don't you have to like spread it like super thin?
With butter on toast or bread. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And
could you describe the flavor profile to me, possibly?
It's like, if you take a big spoonful, it's just bitter, if that makes sense.
Is it just basically like a salt spread? Like, is it just salty?
Yeah, it's pretty salty and bitter.
I like salt.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll try some Vegemite. Maybe I'll force her.
And I'm very interested. This is just off topic, random. I might not even cut it in, but what do you know about Australia?
I know that guys got some wacky animals there. And I know that your seasons are opposite of us, which is that's not discussed enough. It makes me kind of uncomfortable. I'm like, we're just hanging out in the summer and you guys are cold right now. It's cool. Yeah. Other than that, no, actually, if you want to just like tell me about Australia. Pretty cool. I'm interested. I don't know. I don't really know too much.
No, that's fair because you see a lot of videos online and stuff about Americans not knowing much about anything else but America. That's just why I ask.
It's America's so bad that we aren't. I mean, to not be like America patriotic, you have to like fight off society. It's, I mean, you know, you have to stand for the pledge in school, and if you don't, your teacher screams at you, and you know, everything's. You're supposed to be like America's biggest fan, which to me, it's like I just live here, bro. I don't know, like. So we don't really get taught about the culture of other countries very much because it's supposed to be that doesn't matter. America's perfect and we're the best country. So why do you need to know about other countries? And they don't want us to know about you guys because they don't want us to know that you guys are substantially cooler. So yeah.
Fair enough. I'd say given the chance, if your Medicare system was a little bit better, I'd move over there in a heartbeat. That's just how I feel.
Interesting. Well, because what about America would make you like now like if we had healthcare that was what you know what I would say fair. Like what about what city would you consider?
California for sure. Yeah. Or Orlando, either one.
Oh, neat. Yeah, Orlando's cool. I mean, it has Disney World. Yeah. What do you think of New York? Have you ever been over here?
I've been to California.
Okay. Yeah. No, California is, I mean, as expensive as it is, it's just perfect. So, I mean,
it doesn't rain ever.
It doesn't rain. It's the perfect weather of fall where it's like, it's not hot, but it's not cold. And you feel like you're being hugged. It's just the weather all the time. And everyone there's happy and friendly. And, you have all the different types of terrain. You have the beach, but then the mountains are like right behind the beach. And you have, you know, you drive north, it's snowy. You should do it.
Before we wrap this up, do you have anything major that you would like to add that we could look out for next year? Knowing
me, the song I'm working on now won't come out till January or February. So I think if my calculations are correct, look out for a new single in January and February. Actually, I could probably do it sooner than that. Let's say December.
December?
Yeah.
Nice Christmas present.
Yes. I like that. A Christmas present of a song about cooking.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, snow.
So the lack there of cooking actually is technically what the song's about. All
right. Natalie Claro. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me. This was fun.